check, and here we are, part 3 of my rotation dieting series. Today we're going to look at types of rotation dieting. If for some reason you're just jumping into this in the middle of our little show, our little mini-series, in the first part I talked about what a rotation diet is. In the second part I went into some detail about why it's important to use a rotation diet, particularly if you're having leaky gut syndrome. Today I'm going to talk about types of rotation dieting. In my next segment I will give you some tips that will make rotation dieting easier and more fun. I'd like to begin by reminding everybody that your ultimate how to take care of yourself so you can be lean and mean book is How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, and the section where I talk about rotation dieting is 236, 237. There you can see 2 colors of the 4-day rotation diet, and there's the other 2 colors of the 4-day rotation diet, which teaches you what you should eat on each of those days so you don't mix the genetics up and overstimulate your immune system. And there's all sorts of other useful stuff in here, including questionnaires that show you how much stress you're under and how to customize your diet and lifestyle plan 100% for you. What a concept. A unique individual who has needs all their own. Here it is. Okay, so now that we're in part 3, we have some different types. Now these are my own headings. These are not stuff you're going to find in books. I'm a strange dude. I think for myself. So here's what happens when I think for myself and practice this for many years. Lots of years. One, I found that giving people a rotation diet often did not work well, even though they needed it, if they were under too much stress in their life. If you read the book Switch by Chip and Dan Heath, they talk about an experiment where they tested people to see how many problems they could solve that were unsolvable problems. Only the researchers knew that, the participants didn't know that. One group got to eat chocolate chip cookies while solving their problems. The other group got chocolate chip cookies and a bowl of radishes and were told you can't eat the radishes or the chocolate chip cookies, but you can have as many radishes as you want. Well, the group that got to eat chocolate chip cookies attempted to solve 30-something problems, if I remember right, and the ones that can only eat the radishes gave up at 19. And the researchers essentially summarized that the reason the ones eating the radishes couldn't solve as many problems is because they were under control stress. And in my observation as a coach and a therapist, I found the more things a person's trying to control in their life, the less energy they have to try to control more and more in their own life. And therefore, oftentimes what turns out to be the best thing holistically or medicinally for someone isn't the best thing if it causes more stress to implement than it heals through implementation. So I typically use a training rotation diet either just to induce variety, to help people understand the concept and get them in the practice of using a lot of variety, or as a stepping stone to get them to the level of rotation dieting that they need. A training rotation diet, as I developed the concept myself, is nothing other than writing down everything you eat. I typically carry a little notebook in my pocket. I left it over there, but it's a little notebook. You can get a little moleskin notebook. Fits right in your pocket. You can get little tiny ones. On a training rotation diet, just write down everything that you eat and drink, if it's anything other than water. So if you go to breakfast and you have bacon and eggs and potatoes and orange juice, you can eat bacon, eggs, potatoes, and orange juice all day if you want to. The next day, in a normal rotation diet, you would stay completely away from any of the foods from any of those plant species or animal species. So you would be off pork. You would technically be not mixing pork and eggs together because they're from a different gene line, which would overexcite the immune system. Excuse me. Just had a big drink of fresh juice. If you look at the training concept, what I'm saying here is the person who had the bacon, eggs, and potatoes now goes to their next day and they just trying not to eat those same foods. So they might have another cut of pork, they might have another type of potato. They just, in other words, instead of worrying about what genetic species and getting into the technical rotation diet, I say if you had chicken on Monday, try to eat some other kind of bird on Tuesday. Eat a duck. And then Wednesday, if you really want bird, try a turkey. And if Thursday comes along and you still want bird, try a quail. Keep working your way through different things. So this is less oriented around the genetics, more oriented around food variety, and it is a technique for training somebody in a low stress, low control environment so that as they see the benefits of a simple rotation diet, they're more likely to participate in a more comprehensive rotation diet if their health or vitality still needs more improvement once they've implemented a training rotation diet. So in summary, a training rotation diet, I write down everything I eat and drink. I don't need to write down water. You can drink that every day. You'd rotate things like soda pop. You'd rotate things like tea. You can still have tea, just have a different kind of tea. So if you had spicy chai tea, tomorrow don't have spicy chai tea. Have Earl Grey or something else. English breakfast. Just keep rotating to get in the habit. Don't worry about the genetic species. If you have chicken on Monday, you can have turkey on Wednesday, etc. The secret here is to get in the habit of rotating and trying new and interesting foods and expanding your palate. Try shopping at different kinds of markets. Go to Middle Eastern markets, Chinese markets, Hindu markets. Ask people what tastes good, what's a neat kind of meat. Look into things like emu, alligator, crocodile, kangaroo, ostrich. There's all sorts of really, really good tasty stuff, but we just don't even eat it because we're not used to having to think about it, and we end up not thinking about things we should think about, and you know what happens then. Next is a standard rotation diet. What's in my book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, is a standard rotation diet. You would follow the genetic lines by not crossing them. You would get a lot of support. But in a standard rotation diet, I do not encourage people or put the pressure on them to rotate things like ketchup, pepper, spices, salad dressings. Those types of things I'm not so worried about unless I think someone has a significant health problem and that they need to see food as medicine more so than just food, and most of these people I'm working with physicians to manage anyhow. So the standard rotation diet is following the 4-day rotation plan, not crossing gene lines to decrease stress on the immune system and increase variety. A medical or strict rotation diet, you would have to rotate everything with the exception of maybe salt, which is in pretty much anything anyhow. But when it comes to things like pepper, ketchup, spices, all of those can become triggers to the immune system. Sometimes I have to take people one step at a time to get them to this level, because to jump to this level can feel very, very confining for an individual and therefore can produce more stress than the benefit that it offers. Other things is, if you legitimately need a standard rotation diet, it usually means you got some kind of a health problem unless you're just doing this preventatively. Standard and medical rotation diets, I'm usually interested now is, does that person need to do any kind of fasting, particularly a mini fast, juice fasting, or do they need to have a period of eating as a vegetarian to clean their body up and decrease toxicity from meats? Would a shift to a more of a vegan style diet be appropriate at this time based on what's going on? Point being is, wherever there's a rotation diet at this level or higher, you always want to consider whether or not fasting is going to be a supportive process, because people that need these usually have quite exhausted glands and organs, largely due to eating too much dead food. Standard American diets full of carbohydrates, refined food, additives, and preservatives, which is what we call the SAD crap diet. Standard American diet, SAD, C-R-A-P, carbohydrates, refined foods, additives, and preservatives. That's what you get for eating a standard American diet. You get yourself in trouble. Again, funguses and parasites. Big problem because, as I showed in my previous presentation on this mini-series, those things typically cause the gut to leak, elevate cortisol levels, and cause all hell to break loose. So in that case, you are going to definitely want to consider my Healing Fungal and Parasite program, the Absolute Essentials. And this program I designed specifically so even a child of 12 years of age could understand it and follow it, yet it's got enough intellectual nutrition to help even a seasoned professional, and many have given me great feedback on it. So other things to consider is, if you're looking into any of these things, you need to know what your primal pattern diet type is. So I have an audio program called How to Identify Your Primal Pattern Diet, which is a recording from a presentation I give. Probably has a little handout for you as well, but it takes you through the steps of learning how to customize your own diet so you know what foods and what proportions are ideal for you. Fully individualized, no diet books, none of that stuff. It obviously hasn't worked. Look at all the diet. There's about 4,000 diet books, and we're the fattest, sickest people in the world. So how about learning what your body needs and working that way? Finally, when you're at the medical or standard grade of rotation dieting, oftentimes it's really worth considering, does this person need food combining? Because most of these people have weak digestive systems, which means they can't bring the right nutrients into their body. If you've got a weak digestive system and I give you good food, you'll still not get nourished because you can't bring it through the gut wall effectively. And do they need digestive aids such as hydrochloric acid or a broad spectrum enzyme to help break down carbohydrates, fats, things like that? So these are just little considerations that need to be considered, because if you don't consider food combining and digestive aids, a rotation diet will help, but remember, you got to get the gut healthy first. These are the kinds of things I cover in my Holistic Lifestyle Training Program. HLC1 gives you the basics of how to live the book. HLC2 teaches you how to coach people effectively. And HLC3 teaches you how to handle more complex cases and get into things like infant development and all sorts of other neat stuff. Hey, I've enjoyed sharing with you today. I will see you for part 4. Looking forward to it. I'm Paul C.H.E.K.